Well, hello and welcome back to the channel. We're having an absolutely fantastic period of weather up here in Scotland. It's been sunshine and super hot temperatures. It's been absolutely brilliant. Today's video, I was going to talk about the F900XR. I've had this bike for 4 months now and she's done over 3,000 miles. So I think I'm quite familiar with it. But I have to admit, when I bought the bike, I was quite disappointed, and I was really thinking I've made a big mistake buying this bike, moving from the Tiger 900. Yeah, I wasn't sure about it at all. I had lots of issues. But I've changed a lot of parts of the bike and I've made it much more mine. But I'll go through what I've done to this bike to make it fit for purpose in my eyes, for me personally. I mean, every bike's individual and they fit different people in different ways. But my main issue with the bike when I bought it, it was just far too high. I was always on tiptoes. I got it with the standard low seat. That helped a bit, but I was never confident. It was always just that you were always concerned where you would take it, where you would park it. If it was on loose gravel, you would be wary you were going to drop the bike at any time. And I'll put my hand up and I'll confess I did. I have dropped this bike once just very soon after I bought the bike, and it was on those circumstances, a really tight turn, and it was really unstable and it just dropped. I broke the front brake lever, I broke the Hero blobs off the bottom of that, and that was a pain as well because I actually ended up having to buy a new foot peg and a new brake lever, and it scraped the original hand guard, which I'll talk about later. So yeah, so that dropping it so early in its ownership, that really knocked my confidence with this as well. So I wasn't enjoying riding it, to be honest. But that's all changed. I've spent a bit of money on it and a bit of time tweaking it to make it fit for purpose in my eyes. And so, yeah, that's what I was going to really talk about, is a wee update on the bike and what I've done to it since I've bought it. The big difference was actually the height. And you might have noticed from a previous, quite recent video that I did on this, where I'd stripped all the plastic off this bike here, and you're probably wondering what I was doing it for. And you probably thought I was wiring in some accessories, some lights or some cameras or something. It wasn't. It was actually to lower the bike, which I'll go into. But basically now the bike is absolutely perfect. I can flat foot it so easily. It's just really in a great position. You're super confident on it now. It really is good. It has been lowered, which I'll go into. And lowering it hasn't actually altered putting it on the centre stand. It's always an easy bike to put on the centre stand, and it is slightly more difficult, but not much. It's still an easy bike to go onto the centre stand. So, today, what have I done to the bike? Yeah, the biggest bit would be lowering it. And what I've actually fitted is a Hyperpro spring in the back here, which has lowered the bike by 30mm, and that has made a massive difference to this machine. Why I had to remove all the plastic, mainly because this bike is fitted with dynamic ESA. I did actually manage to change this spring without removing the shock absorber from the bike. What I did is, if you would have seen, I've got an ABBA stand. I had the bike up on the ABBA stand with the front pointing downwards, so the back was really up in the air. I unbolted the bottom shock bolt, which dropped the swinging arm here down a bit. And with a laser spring compressor, I could attach the laser spring compressor onto the bottom of the shock absorber and compress it enough to remove the spring and replace it with the new Hyperpro one. The problem was this wire at the bottom coming out of the bottom of this, it was impossible to get the spring compressor on with that. And if you trace the wire from that, it goes all the way up here to a connector just in at the back here. So it meant stripping off all the plastic just to get into that one connector, so I could unplug that, so I could feed that wire up the centre of the laser spring compressor. So yeah, I never videoed that fitting this spring because I 100% sure how it was going to go, and it wasn't an easy job. Plus, there's no way I wanted to show how to do it and have people asking me millions of questions about it, and also people who are not very competent working in their own suspension. I didn't think it was a good idea. So all I want to say is this is what I've done to my bike. I have lowered the back end by 30, no, the spring lowers the bike by 30 millimeters, and it's a huge difference. It really is a huge difference, and it works brilliantly. To balance the bike up, what I also did was I dropped the top yokes down through by 10 millimeters, so it's basically raised the fork stanchions up by 10 millimeters up here, which you can see, and that's balanced the bike up. A worry I did have was, because it was dynamic ESA, I was concerned that it might throw up fault codes in the suspension, but that never happened. It's actually been a straight swap over with the spring. No problems with at all with the electronics, and it just works absolutely beautifully. The bike now, in my eyes, is completely transformed. It's just super confident with it now. It's absolutely fantastic. Other modifications I've made to it, there's always the main criticisms. One of them has always been with the height. Other people have complained about the height. The other one was the seat. The standard seat that I had came with the standard low version, the low seat, and I've changed it to this Wunderlich seat. But again, I actually bought this a long time ago, and I tried it on the bike before I lowered the suspension, but even this seat is slightly higher than the standard low seat. So when I tried it, I was even then still a wee bit more on tiptoes, so I never actually used it. And I thought I had the option to send it back and get a full refund, which I did consider, but then I thought, no, the bike's still not right, I want to lower this bike. So I'll hold on to the seat, which I did, so it was lying in a box, it was never put on the bike really, until the bike was lowered. And now the bike's lowered, this seat works a treat. It's so much more comfortable than the standard seat, which I have to say it was okay, but really not great. I've done some long days on the bike, 300 odd mile runs, and it works a treat. It is absolutely a really comfortable seat, even though it still feels a bit hard, but it's much more supportive, and the shape of it's much better. The other area that people always talk about is the windscreen. This bike came with the comfort pack, which meant it had the taller windscreen from standard, but it was poor. The wind buffeting from the screen was really bad. This one's been fitted with the MRA screen, which is with an adjustable visor about the top. And it's not perfect, but I don't think any screen's perfect, to be honest. But this works so much better. And when you're riding along, and there's a marked difference between the low height and when you raise the screen up when you're motoring. That really makes a big difference as well. So yeah, that has been, in my eyes, a real success. These three parts, the screen, the seat and lowering the bike, has made a marked difference to this bike in my eyes. It's transformed it. I have made some more probably subtle changes to the bike as well. On the tank here, there's a GV tank ring, because I've had a small GV tank bag for quite a long time, which I use clip onto here. And I bought just the ring to make so I could start using the bag, and that's great, especially if you're out filming. You can have the wee bag there and just some cameras in there, and you can just take bits and pieces from it. So that was fitted as well. But one thing to be careful, if you do this, one thing to be kind of careful of or be mindful of is when it comes with 4 black screws, and they're just standard Allen screws, so it will attach to the ring without any problem at all. But this bike is keyless. If there's something goes wrong with the keyless actuation of the filler cap, the wee front section in here can be removed, and that just basically takes the latch off the cap, so you can actually open the filler cap up. And to do that, underneath the seat in the wee toolkit, there is a small Torx key, so it allows you to take these screws out. But if you fit the GV tank ring onto this with the screws that come from GV, and you're out on the bike and you've got an issue, you've got to have an Allen key to fit it. So what I've done is basically I've done away with the Allen key screws that came with the tank ring, and I've purchased some stainless steel Torx screws, which I think they look better as well than the black, to be honest. And those screws are exactly the same Torx fitting as the key under the seat, and the same as the ones that came out. So if I have an issue with that, I can just remove the tank ring and then take the wee plate off, and I can open and close the petrol filler cap. It's just one of these things that if you fitted that, and then you could be, one of these days you could just be out there and stuck, and you don't have an Allen key, you can't open, you're running out of petrol, you can't open the filler cap. So it's just, and I think it looks better with the stainless steel screws in it. So that's one wee bit up here. On the front of the cockpit as well, I've got the BMW connected ride navigation system. At first, I didn't really like it. I've been so used to using TomTom for many, many years, and I still use my TomTom on my other two bikes. And the app I thought was rubbish as well, until I started to play with it. Until I really started to get to know the app. And now I think it's fantastic. I love using it. And the whiz wheel as well. I mean, it's just brilliant when you're actually using it, and even to navigate and plan routes into it, that really works really, really well. But recently, I just purchased this wee sun visor that goes on the top. It's another Wunderlich item which clips on the top, and that really works in strong sunlight. It really shades that screen and allows you to see the navigation so much better. So that's another wee addition which I think is really, really good. Another item I've fitted to the bike to make it comfortable for me is I've put bar risers on it. So I've raised the handlebars up by 20mm. These wee Wunderlich bar risers down here. And again, that's made a difference. Even that wee slight adjustment, it's just shifted the position that I sit on the bike, and it's much, much more comfortable for me. I think it's really excellent. Plus it's also given me more clearance into the adjusters for the front suspension for the preload and the damping, whereas before it was almost touching the handlebar, but now it's got a clear space, but it has made it much, much more comfortable. Up in the handle front end, another bit you can see I've changed is the handguards. The ones that came with that were exactly the same as this. They were black, but as I say, I did drop the bike and I did scrape the side of it. It wasn't bad. People wouldn't necessarily notice it, but I noticed it, and it always annoyed me. But just one day I was on eBay and I came across these. A dealer was selling them. They only had one set, and they're absolutely genuine BMW ones, and they're exactly the same as the ones that came off. But they're white, and I thought, and they were the same white as the bike, and I thought, they would look really, really cool with the white handguards with the white accents on the bike. So I thought, yeah, I'm going to get them, and I got rid of the scrape that was on the side of it, and then I also fitted these Wunderlich clear extensions onto it, and I really like them. Sometimes you could think they're a bit kind of humpy, but in cold weather and in the rain, they're absolutely brilliant. They just keep all that cold wind and rain off your gloves. Your gloves are dry, and so with that and the heated grips on, you're just really in a lovely, comfortable place. So I really, really like these. And also, you can see from the outside, I've actually put on these Evotech handguard protectors as well. And again, that was because I dropped the bike, and because this deflected and it broke the front brake lever. These are a bit like bark busters. They're really strong. If the bike was to be dropped, they're going to protect it. But to me, they're much nicer than bark busters. The way they integrate right into this section of the handguard and just connect up into the mirror there, they look really, really good. So yeah, I think the whole thing just works. Another thing that I fitted on the bike was the wee extension foot onto the side stand. Initially I put that on basically because before the bike was lowered, the initial side stand, when you put it on the side stand, the bike went really far over, and when you went to pick up, it was a big haul every time you wanted to bring it up, because it just leaned so much. So I put that on and it did raise it up a bit, which did make it better. I thought that when I lowered it, I'm going to have to take that off, but I don't. It just works great. So the bike is lowered, it still is a standard side stand, and it still has that wee Wonderlic foot extension, and to me it is perfect. The bike is so it goes over a nice safe lean angle, and it's so easy to lift up off the side stand. It just works great. Up here I've got a Scott oiler, the wee electronic Scott oiler, which the wee tube obviously goes down and puts on the wee drip tube onto the back sprocket. Yeah, down here you can see where that's attached to, and that automatically oils the chain and keeps looking after that part as well. Another issue I did have was with I put this extension piece onto the rear brake, and I love it. It gives you so much control and so much feel to the brake pedal. It's really good. But I was on a run one day, and one of my mates who was following me, he says, "Your brake light's on all the time." Oh, really? Strange. And what it was, I was basically riding along, and I was kind of my foot was just kind of hovering above the brake pedal. I wasn't putting the brakes on at all, but it was always hovering it. And the slightest movement on that was actuating the wee micro switch in here. So I thought, oh, I can't have that, because I noticed at one time when I tried to use the cruise control, and it wouldn't work. Why is it not working? It was because I was touching the brake pedal, and so it wasn't allowing the cruise control to engage. So what I did, I just thought, oh well, I'll take that pedal off, because I can't have that. I can't have the brake light on all the time. That's really dangerous. And instantly I thought, God, it's horrible. It's horrible without it. It was quite. Even then there was quite a lot of movement on it, and I always found it was quite a small pedal, and when you were maybe in tight situations where you're trying to drag the back brake, the brake pedal wasn't easy to use. So I thought, I would really want to put that back on. So what I did, a really simple fix. I got a wee piece of very thin aluminium and a bit of 3M automotive double-sided tape, and it was a tiny wee piece, and just on the brake pedal, just down here, you can actually see it, there's a wee just this wee lug that comes out, that actually hits onto the micro switch at the back for the brake pedal. So just by placing that on where the wee pin from the brake light switch hits the pedal, that just pushes that pin in that a wee bit more. So it means that you got a slightly wee bit more travel. It's not much. It's still, the brake light still comes on before you hit the brakes to start to operate. But you just it takes away that just by touching it. But I've also found that before the bike was lowered, when I was riding it, I was riding in a position that obviously I wasn't feeling comfortable, and my foot was hovering over the brake pedal all the time, and it was because I wasn't comfortable. I wasn't confident on the bike. Now I find when I'm riding, my foot's pretty much to the side all the time, so it's always clearing it, and that brake pedal is just so easy to hit. Whereas before, if it was a small pedal, you're always having to look for it a wee bit. It would have become automatic, but I never ever really liked it. So I think with that slight modification, just with a wee tiny thin piece of aluminium and that wee bit of double-sided tape, it's cured it, and now it's absolutely perfect. I've got fantastic control through that extended wee foot brake pad. I think that just works a treat. Have I done anything else to the bike? Let me think. I have to have a wee look and see. Oh yeah, the wee hugger at the back here. I put that on there, this Wonderlic hugger, it's a wee extension. You can see that in my last video that I did, but it's such a neat wee extension because it just fits underneath the original wee hugger, which is the original part is this section here, and this is the bit that goes underneath, and it just looks so neat. It just looks like it's meant to be there. Yeah, I love that, and it does keep the back shock really clean. And I also had put on an extension on the front as well, and that does help to keep the front end clean as well. Again, yeah, I've got the BMW top box, and I've got the full BMW panniers that go with this. Again, there's another video that I've put out dedicated to that, so if you want to see that. But from a riding aspect, now I find riding this bike is really super confident. The bike has got 4 riding modes. It's got rain, road, dynamic and dynamic pro. And you can pre-select them whatever modes that you particularly want to use. And I was riding and using road a lot and dynamic a lot. But what I've found in dynamic, especially in towns, the throttle's either on or off. It's really very, the slightest bit of movement makes a big difference. So it was quite snatchy in towns. So what I've now do, I've actually only selected 2 modes. I've selected rain mode and dynamic pro. Dynamic Pro, I've tuned it to me. I've basically got full power, but I've switched off wheelie controlling, wheelies, because I don't want to do wheelies at my age. I'm just, even by accident, I don't want to do that. So I just want the bike to give me as much safety as possible, but still have good amount of full power and decent engine braking, etc. And I use rain mode because this bike in rain mode, it's just such a gentle machine. It's just so, when you move it, you use quite a lot of throttle movement to get it to go, but it takes away all that snatchiness in town, and it just bumbles along. It's just a lovely, pleasant place to be. And because I've only got 2 modes selected, if you hit the mode button in the top here, when you're riding along, say, oh gosh, there's some really nice set of bends. I really want to be a bit of a devil now, so I want to be in Dynamic Pro. All you do is, without even looking at anything, you just hit that button twice, basically dip the throttle close and dip the clutch, and it'll switch into Dynamic Pro, and instantly you're away in hooligan mode. And then once you're through the twisties, you just hit the button again twice, and it'll bounce back to rain. So you don't have to be looking at the screen to see what you're selecting. You just know 2 clicks of that button, and you're switching between rain and Dynamic Pro. To me, that's brilliant. I got the 2 modes that I like. I like the bike when it's just gentle and you can just bumble along in it, and I like it when it's a hooligan, when you can just be a bit, rag it a bit. Also with the switch on this side, you can hit, when you're riding along, if you're riding on the road, the back suspension is quite soft, and you can feel it. You can just, it doesn't wallow, but it's got a nice, pleasant place to be, especially in rain, just bumbling along and just having a pleasant day out on the bike, not doing anything crazy. The suspension is pleasant, it's plush. But then when you hit the twisties, you hit the mode button twice, you're in Dynamic Pro, you flick on the suspension button, and that goes into dynamic, and the whole back end stiffens up. So you've got full power, you've got the instant up-and reaction from the throttle, and you've got that back end that's really in sport mode, and it's tight, and it's just great. So after 4 months and 3,000 miles, I think I can confidently now say that I really, really like this bike. When I first saw it, I thought it was a beautiful looking bike, but I was so disappointed because of its height and various things. The changes I've made it wouldn't be for everybody, but it certainly suits me and my style of riding. It just works absolutely beautifully. The bike can hustle along, you can throw it into corners, it just feels confidence inspiring. And yeah, I'm in tune with the bike now and really, really like it. And I love the electronics on it. I love the dashboard. I like the integrated BMW navigation system. I think it works a treat as well. I know it was expensive, but well, to me this was going to be my last big bike. I'm getting old. So yeah, I now can confidently say this bike is staying, and I'm really, really enjoying it. And from now, I don't actually see me doing anything else to it. I think it's finished as far as I'm going. And you won't see any videos of me doing maintenance on it, because I've got a service agreement on it for the next 3 years, so it'll be going back to BMW for all its routine servicing. So I'm not really, the next 3 years I just want to ride this bike and enjoy it, and that's the plan. Lowering the suspension, that is the game changer. That has made this bike totally different. It's a completely different machine from the one that came out of the dealership. But yeah, it's been a bit of a mission, and it's not been inexpensive, you could say, but it's there now. Anyway, I think we'll just take it for a run. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.